Well, if any more come after them. I mean, they have it.
I don't bite.
Stand for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a commendation award for Officer Wood. I would like to commend you for taking, you were dispatched to a residence at 6:30 on July 1st, 2022, to assist with a life-saving procedure for a near drowning. An officer would arrive, a 3-year-old girl had been removed from the swimming pool, but was unresponsive. Arriving before EMS, Officer Wood quickly responded by turning the child on her side to move puff of water. Shortly thereafter, the child was transported to EMS. Thank you, Officer Wood, for responding so quickly. I, James Martin,
I, James Martin,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear I will faithfully execute the duties of police officer
for the state of Texas and the town of Bartonville, Texas,
for the state of Texas and the town of Bartonville, Texas,
and I will, to the best of my ability,
and I will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and the laws of the state of Texas,
and ordinances of the town of Bartonville.
and the ordinances of the town of Bartonville.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public participation. Not done so already, please provide public appearance. It doesn't matter, it's not listed. This is the opportunity to do so. If you wish to speak on any item other than what's in the public hearing, you'll have an opportunity to do that during the item. Please state your name and address. Please remember that council members are not allowed to speak or answer questions during public participation. Mr. House?
Tim House, I'm here tonight representing the Bartonville Store 96 on Maple Road here in Bartonville. I'm here here about an agenda item. I don't think anyone else is here to speak about it. You're going to be adopting the sewer map tonight as to what the service area should be. When I found this out, I wanted to advise you all that I do hope to present a case to you at some point that would allow the store to hook up to the sewer that already exists in front of our property. And it's my goal to present hopefully enough ammunition to help you be comfortable that this will not in any way compromise your ability to control growth elsewhere. The store is, we pride ourselves on being a part of the country feel of Bartonville. And like everyone in Keep Bartonville Country, we don't want high density development in this town. We like it just the way it is. We just want to be able to run a more efficient, a cleaner, more environmentally sensitive business. So I will present that case at some point in the future. It's my understanding that the map you will adopt tonight does not prohibit you from considering my request later. So I want to thank you for listening.
Thank you. Michael Parker?
My name is Michael Parker, and I live at 340 Thornhill Circle, right off.
I received a text from one of my neighbors earlier this week regarding consideration of having to expand the Macon Road. I live right on the road. My chief concern is one of safety. I know that the population has increased, so has the speeders on that road. It's very unsafe at different times during the weekend and certainly late in the weekend. And my thought is to expand that road, right, would only invite people to speed more and invite more of it. My understanding is the road, as there's a sign on there that says there's no through traffic for trucks. It doesn't mention cars, but it does mention no through traffic. And it's become a concern for myself and my neighbors on Thornhill Ranch. It's very loud and quite unsafe. And I could sure appreciate the support of your consideration on keeping the road the way it is, or if nothing else, post up a guy up there because I could point out the kids who are speeding. That's the middle of my school. Sure appreciate you listening to me. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. Jeff Rowe?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Jeff Grubb. I live at 777 Stonewood Boulevard in Bartonville, and resident here for about 12 years. Along with the earlier gentleman, I just too wanted to speak out and make my position on the widening of McMacken made clear. I believe that it is something that we as a town should stand against and oppose, primarily because of some of the statements that was already made regarding through traffic, an increase of through traffic, potential increase of crime, potential increase of speeding, and furthermore, increased workload for our police department. So I think it's something we should stand against, not only stand against the widening of the 4-lane, but also stand against any kind of supposed improvements relative to concrete. Because if they do propose concrete, that, in my opinion, is just a gateway drug, if you will, to further improvements that could ultimately lead to 4 lanes. And so I personally am adamantly opposed to the 4-lane. I'm adamantly opposed to any kind of concrete improvements. And again, staying true to our commitment of keeping Bartonville rural, we need to make sure that Denton County, the judge, and the commissioner all understand very clearly that we do not want any part of this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Rachel Meeks?
Hey, Council. I'm Rachel Meese, 167 Broom Road. Like, the previous people that just spoke, I wanted to make it pretty clear about my opposition to any sort of improvements or widening down that road. As you know, my property kind of side faces along that whole thing. The amount of speeders are obscene. There are safety issues when I cross the road with horses, even my neighbors. I know y'all are just swimming, trees there, and I really appreciate that. But a big reason is because there's visibility issues on that corner, pulling horse trailers. And so imagine pulling horse trailer, turning left out there, now you're crossing 4 lanes of traffic on a downhill road. That's horribly unsafe. We have nothing but horse properties down the road. And so if there's anything that we can do, I think that, again, we need to stand together as a town and make it known that I agree, putting concrete in is a step into just easy expansion. And so I think we just have to be smart and diligent about how we approach this. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rob, Matt?
Alex Barnett, 390 Baker Road, Bartonville. Anything that they, totally opposed to the 4 lanes. Anything that they do to improve that road is just going to make it faster. And it's already a problem, people going too fast. And ditto for everybody else in all this state.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron Davis?
Yeah, Randy.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, worries, sorry. 1649 Barrington Hills Boulevard. Same thing with the widening of the road. I will say that we have a bus stop at the end of our street, and we've seen cars go around the buses. It's dangerous. They're already going too fast. Doubling the traffic or more is not going to help that problem. I think everybody on our street is pretty much opposed to it. If somehow it got jammed through, I'd recommend making a toll road to Bartonville section. But otherwise, we're strong.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stacy Smith?
My name is Stacy Smith. I live at 585 and 601 Lincoln Road. So I'm right there. I went to the meeting today that didn't have and learned some valuable information. There is still time for Bartonville to get in and have their words because it is the very beginning of this. But I agree with everything that was said prior to me. Concrete and what they're trying to do with a gateway, and even getting some counsel from just a good friend of mine who's in that field. So some things that I did learn is that you guys have amazing support. I will tell you that everybody that I know in Bartonville is not for this, they are for against it, we're against it. Same reasons, we ride our horses up and down the road, they're jogging up and down the road. We have a massive trailer, so to pull out of our driveway and try to cross 4 lanes and walk over traffic would be, I don't even know, I'd rather have to get out and hand stop traffic, or we'd have to put our own light there. But it's, for the small town, I don't think that it is appropriate. I won't get into some of the detailed information I found out. Most of y'all know that this was brought up and proposed specifically by another town nearby that has some alternative, possibly alternative motives on that. But one of the things I did note, just doing some homework, is that the 2017 thoroughfare study that was done in a room. It was not done by individuals driving around looking at the property. So when they look at these maps, and this came directly from John Polster today, talking to him directly, is they sit down and they just look at connections. They're not looking at personal driveways or anything like that. So in that, they define them that way. So they know that there are some mismatches between what they have defined in the city. So I think that gives some openings to try to change this. Macon, under that 2017 study, is shown as approachable arterial. Macon doesn't follow that definition at all. It's typically longer in nature, very limited access to driveways.
We did the distances, and I can give you all the distances, but in a matter of time, I'll just say that from Jeter Road to Hawk Road, there's 23 private driveway entrances, and that's only a mile span. So when you look at that and go look at TxDOT, who didn't count and listen to, it is not the definition. The other thing is if you go look at the ADT, which is the average.
Can we allow it to move?
The average daily traffic, which is the ADT, which is also what TxDOT looks at, a minor arterial, or what Bartonville has, Macon Road, is a rural collector, is typically 5,000 to 12,000 vehicles per day. A principal arterial is 12,000 to 40,000 vehicles a day, and we know that Macon doesn't have that. So again, I think there's a lot of information to reclassify Macon Road as what Bartonville has already classified it, and that's a rural collector or a 2-lane minor arterial. And I think you would get as much support and backing as we can give you guys.
Thank you. Cindy Logan?
I live at 673 Landfall, and I am opposed to widening the road because of drainage as well as the noise. We already hear all of the noise that is happening at Kroger with all the trucks and the stop signs and everybody running their engines. And it's just going to add additional people on that road, which would be additional noise and zero.
Thank you. Appointed representatives?
No, he indicated he would be, but
Chief?
Mayor, council, staff. So in your packet, little monthly graphs there, I'll go over them real quick, and we'll get a place to go. In the July meeting, July stats, also service at 98, which is a good result. No medical calls, had 251 self-initiated calls, 7 traffic stops. Calls for May were 332, total calls for June 349. We also had 6 crashes. Those crashes were located at 407 Hilltop, 407 1980. We had one in the Kroger parking lot, and we had one in front of Kroger on 407, and we had one at Branch Crossing on 407, and one at 407 Aiken. One of those was one at 407 Hilltop was a hit line. It was a road rage. Person didn't stop. We're currently looking into. Block reads for the month of May were 614,872. For June, 592, 513. Active cases right now that are being looked into: 6 assaults, 2 thefts, 2 identity thefts, 2 forgery fraud cases. And just to end this, officer, our Toby Scudder will be coming on board August 3rd. So next week we'll have the final position for Officer Wood was, our officer Martin that she swore in tonight was second to last, and now we'll have the last one filled out. So we'll be at 100%. Question on any of those numbers?
I just have one question. You had on noise complaints we had 5. What were those?
Those are individual calls.
Okay,
So they're typically the same location.
so what was that related to? I mean,
It's just music.
music. Okay.
I think we may, one of those may have been one of the gym. So next month we'll have the July 4th issues.
Okay.
So that's the 4/7/19 meeting, was that 27/11?
It was basically right in that intersection. Right there by.
Was that late meeting?
No, the one that was late was the 407 and practice block.
Any more questions? Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. County Administrator?
Coming around are the monthly financials. You know, I sent those after the packet was released. The hope is to eventually have these just in your packet, but you know, every month is a little bit of a challenge. You open those up to the first page. We are 3/4 of the way through the fiscal year. So as we're looking at revenues, we want to see about 75% or better in each category. Sales taxes are tracking right along with that. They're just a little bit higher at 77%. We expect to finish strong. Property taxes, again, that just creeps up. We get all of that basically within 2 months when the fiscal year starts. And then we get some that trickles in over the year for delinquent accounts. So we're at 98% of the projection. Franchise fees are at 91%. We have 3 of the 4 quarterly payments for those franchise payers that pay that way in. Some of them are monthly. We have several that are quarterly. So we expect to finish right at budget, maybe a little higher by the time this last quarter finishes up. Other, that's that weird one where we don't have the grant funds in yet. So we're showing only 20% of the funds received. Once those come in, we would expect it to sit at about 85% of the budgeted revenue for that. Development fees include construction. Again, we're at 90%. We've had a lot of construction this fiscal year, so it's exceeding the pace that the budget anticipated. And most of those construction inspection fees have been collected. Let's see which one am I? I say permit. The development fees, most of those have been collected. The permit and inspections, we're at 103%. We actually have almost $3,000 more of contractor registrations this year than we had last year at this time. And those are $150 a piece, basically. So we've got a lot of contractors working in town. Municipal court fines collected, slightly lower than 75%, but I went back and looked at the budget. We seem to be catching it. So we may finish that at 100% based on having more officers on patrol and, catching violators in the process. If you look at the next page, your all general fund expenditures. Again, we'd like to see 75% or below for these. Most of those categories look that way, but not all. What'd you say? The court department, no, we're at 75, 91% of transfers. The transfers are the Lantana incentive agreement. So again, as Tammy mentioned, that's paid in March. So that one looks really high, but there's not going to be another big payment until the next fiscal year. So we don't expect that to bust out.
Okay.
And the municipal court is always very low. Again, we contract that out, and that's just not a very, that one may increase next year when Tammy mentioned that as we go through our financials with the financial consultant, we may have other things in there that we need to be tracking, but we'll account for that again with revenue as well. So we'll offset. If you go to the next page, expenditures by department, we'd like to see, this is the one that flips, and now we actually want to see 25% or more remaining in these categories. We are looking fairly good in everything except for other and contracted services. Next month is when we expect to bring the budget amendment to you to balance those out. So again, that was primarily related to having a contract administrator as well as all of the temporary help that we've had. So there were savings in salaries, but you spent it in contracts, so we'll balance those categories out. Other slightly over, but again, it's we don't expect that one to go any higher or much higher. So we will also look for a budgeted amendment to fix that as well. Any questions yet? Keith's over there making notes.
kind of information. You know, at some point, when property taxes come out and everyone's notified, is there is there a I'm listing of what the values are total through all the protests and ag exemptions and so forth, that when it finally comes out at the end of the year, those taxes, we have received those funds?
Yes, sir. We can present that during the next budget hearing or budget meeting, is those breakdowns of, you have a total value, tax-based value, and then you have a total taxable value. So you've got a lot of agricultural exemptions, you have protests, you have all of those things as components that will impact that. Our budget is based on not 100% valuation, the one that we presented. So we'll go over that in more detail. So we do have those.
The reason I asked this is prior to you coming and this year, what is the tax and process that was I'm just curious as to what an impact that is. I finally obtained a copy from the county appraisal or from the ag as to what the new ag regulation is going to be, what the track going forward. I'm just curious as to where we stood in the past to where we were this year, as to what our actual percentages that we lose because of ag exemption versus when the tax rate first came out on the protests.
Those are all actually in. We have a report that has all that information. So yes, if I can bring that forward specifically, or you can come see me. I got it. So either way. Any other questions before I go on to police? If you go look in police again, we want to see less than 75% spent. And again, we had salaries and benefit savings throughout the department. We're going to catch up a little bit, but we will still finish in good shape overall in the police department for expenditures. So again, you're running 57 to 74% in other. Y'all have any questions on anything in there?
What was the capital line?
Is that the trailer, Tammy? The capital equipment.
Current budget year 5918. I can't, without looking at the detail from where this.
That is the 59,000 from the grant for the law enforcement equipment. I had a note on mine.
Yes, that's the trailer.
That's the trailer. Yes, sir. Sorry. Gotta go see it. It's out there. You asked that and I had a note down here I didn't go over. So, I'm like, oh, I have that one. I try not to have any, be ready for any surprises. If y'all don't have any other questions, that's all I have for financials. Did y'all have any questions on the other reports that you had in there, animal control or other?
Say something real quick. I knew this was not really doing that. I would like to thank Councilman Sams for spending all day Friday with tree shepherds in the heat, instructing them where to cut limits. So, he spent all day. Thanks for the sacrifice.
Well, Mayor, and the communication that he was able to provide as people asked questions when they were coming. I mean, we posted the notices, but it still surprises some people when you're out there cutting trees close to the property, and he was fantastic.
Consent agenda. This agenda consists of non-controversial housekeeping items required by law. Items may be approved by single motion. Items may be removed from the consent agenda by any council member by making such request prior to motion on the vote. Number one, consider approval of May 17, 2022 regular meeting minutes. Number two, consider approval of June 21st, 2022 regular meeting minutes. Number three, consider approval of the June 29th, 2022 special meeting and work session minutes. Number four, consider approval of the interlocal cooperation agreement between Benton County and Bartonville Sheriff Government's Communication and Dispatch Services System for fiscal year 2022, 2023 in the amount of $6,722, and authorization for the town administrator to execute the same on behalf of the town. Number 5, consider approval of an interlocal cooperation agreement between Denton County and the town of Bartonville Police Department for the use of Denton County radio communication system, and authorization for the town administrator to execute the same on behalf of the town. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 5?
I move that we accept the consent agenda items as outlined.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All. Motion carries. Number 6, discuss and consider approval of construction contract with Intermountain Slurry Seal. Through an interlocal agreement with the city of North Richmond Hill for microservicing in the amount not to exceed $163,000 and authorization for the town administrator to execute the same on behalf of the town. Staff report that.
Yes, our town engineer is here if we get into any technical questions, but he's gone through the process and received a quote from Intermountain. And again, this is basically through a purchasing agreement, a cooperative purchasing agreement with North Richland Hills. So he doesn't have to go out for competitive bid. This is already considered a best price through that process. And again, this was a test section was done using this process on Post Oak in 2016. And according to our engineer, it has held up well. So the streets recommended for this process, pardon me, is Glenview, Shiloh, Briarwood, Coyote Court, Wolf Run Road, and Green Oaks. Pardon me. Yes. Again, this is the action tonight is just for the 163,000 contract with Intermountain. That is the micro surfacing. There is another $80,000 worth of
yeah,
herbicide.
so in addition, so Intermountain will just do the slurry seal, the microsurfacing. And as part of that, there's a prep. You know, the town will come in and do all the full depth base repair for the failed sections. They need to blade back the road where it's all overgrown and there's weeds through there. We'll do a crack sealing application. And then after he's done, we also need to restripe the roads. So there's some other parts to this contract in the amount of about $80,000. It'll be all the other things that'll be partnered up with this. And so assuming this goes forward, then we'll execute a work order with SPI. And so SPI will do all the base repair and crack sealing ahead of Intermountain, and then come in on the back end and do the signing and striping or the pavement marking as needed.
If you look down at the fiscal impact, we'll come back if y'all approve this with a budget amendment for the 163,000 in August. The $80,000 that Chris just talked about is actually available in Fund 170, 40, 58, 77. So we have that funding available for all that other work.
Hey, can I ask Chris a question on that?
Yeah.
When I spoke to you earlier about, or before, on the striping, there's been a lot of inquiries on that from citizens. Is that striping going to be done?
Just the main arteries. Typically, we haven't striped regular streets or residential streets. Yep. And it's mostly on the hills and the curbs that we're want to make sure we get cleaned up.
Y'all have any other questions on this item? And the contractor is here if y'all have any real technical questions.
Is this consistent with down the road?
Well, I think the only difference, I think, for our, last time Post Oak was included on that, but it wasn't this, so.
It is included.
It is included.
Yeah, if you go on page 90, or if you have a printout, it's all the roads that are going to be part of the Intermountain agreement are also shown on this work order as the prep work.
When you
It's not one of the bold, it's not one of the bold, that's where I was going. Okay. So,
Yes, it is included. The only ones not included from Chris's previous fall work order are the two big reconstructions
Yes.
and the drainage.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'll make a motion for the construction contract. Seal.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries 4-0. Number 7, preliminary plat Deer Hollow. Discuss and consider make recommendations to
acres generally located east of Cedar Road, west and south of Bartonville Road. Go by 5-0, July 6th.
No, I don't need one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is for a subdivision of 14 lots, and this is the preliminary plat. The applicant has requested to withdraw the final plat. There are 2 items on here that when P and Z approved it, there was the requirement for a development agreement because all of the homes primary residences must be sprinkled. That was a condition that the fire district requested due to the long road lengths without, again, separate entrances. And related to the cul-de-sac. So again, those are long dead end streets with cul-de-sacs on them. So again, the approval through P and Z was if they sprinkle all primary residences, even if they are below 5,000 feet. They didn't get us the language yet for Ed to put that in a developer agreement. And the other item was the HOA. They have basically what they keep calling an X lot, and it's where the mailboxes will be and the entry feature. There are no other methods permitted other than an HOA. An HOA can be as simple as in perpetuity, that HOA will take care of this one lot. You can't do that through deed restrictions or others according to our ordinances. And until Mr. Mallow closed on the property, he could not file those legal documents to create the HOA basically until today. So the final plat will come forward at your next meeting. It's anticipated if we can get those 2 issues. The preliminary plat, again, P and Z recommended approval with are they on here? Can you please tell me they're on here? The conditions were sprinkling the all primary structures, creating an HOA for the X lot, but they received waivers, or they was recommended to approve waivers for the length of the street, the dead end, as well as allowing for individual tree surveys instead of having to do an overall survey of the lot of the entire property. Just for the roadway, I think they ended up having to take out 240 trees. So they don't want to take out any more than it's necessary through the process. So they're going to allow the individual homes to do that.
And the town did the same thing for the factory.
Yes.
The individual tree survey. So.
And again, they did recommend to the council for approval of the preliminary plat. We have those 2 conditions. So again, there was no issue if you decide to approve this tonight. This is not the final. And again, that final was not ready and was withdrawn by the applicant. They brought the documents, but with the withdrawal of the final plat, they were not going to be here. But they would be for a final plat.
I may not be remembering this correctly. I thought one of the waivers was related to erosion control or something on the property.
No, that one didn't.
So it might have been one of the conditions at P and Z was that they didn't have the pond design complete.
Okay.
Well,
And
there's a
so,
mathematical error. Remember that one?
Yes.
That was one of them. Was there was some calculation issue.
It was a drainage.
yeah, it was related
It
to
was
the pond
related.
and the drainage.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and so that has been resolved.
Okay.
$240 trees, really, for the road?
Just for the primary roadway.
It's heavily wooded.
You can't move in there without bumping a tree.
You'll have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary plat for your hall.
You have a second? All those in favor? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Number 8's been withdrawn. Number 9, discuss and consider approval of a resolution of the town of Bartonville adopting a renewed master sanitary sewer collection and treatment plan.
Again, pursuant to the last meeting, we discovered that in Exhibit D of the Regional Wastewater Treatment Services contract that between the town and Upper Trinity River, it is required every 5 years to update the sewer service map. So working with Mr. Voss and Mr. Hartke, we updated the map. I've included the original. The update is just in color. It's easier to see. There was absolutely no change in the area that is covered by the sewer master plan. So again, that second inclusion was to show that the language is consistent and the area is consistent with the previously approved sewer service area map. So again, there are no changes. Mr. Ed can address.
And again, this is a contractual requirement to do this every 5 years. And the last one was done in April 5 years ago. So we're a little behind, but that's okay.
Mhm.
Yes.
Every 5 years, we have to update it.
Tammy now has it on her master spreadsheet.
Yeah.
It
Any
is
questions
impressive
or any
spreadsheet.
comments or?
No change.
You'll have a motion?
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution adopting renewed master sanitary sewer collection and treatment plan for the town of Bartonville.
You'll have a second? All those in favor? Motion carries 4-0. Number 10, discuss and consider approval of a resolution creating an ad hoc traffic committee. The town council expressed interest in creating a committee to review and make recommendations to the town council on
transportation issues such as company traffic and speeding and safety of the town citizens. So I asked you to approve the ad hoc committee, and there is a resolution attached to the agenda. I believe we talked about 3 members of the community and then myself and 2 members of council.
Citizens that signed up, by the way, there were 5 that signed up, and that's, for me, that's a great response, there's interest out there in the team. And, how does one choose who to put on what? And I will tell you that by looking at the applications that, I'm sorry.
We're gonna get to that in a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're just trying to approve the resolution. That's good. Anybody have questions about it or? Do I have a motion?
So how many members are you gonna have?
3 residents.
Yes, it's part of the resolution.
Yeah. It's gonna be the next.
It's creating the committee. So the resolution calls that there's establishment of the committee. We have blank members, so you guys could decide how many members who are residents, the mayor and up to 2 council. In addition, the committee members described above would be the town administrator shall serve as an ex officio member as well as other town employees, town attorney, and town engineer as needed.
So it's it'd be a total of 6 members. That's all right.
Yeah.
Next agenda item is people that get.
Right. We'll talk about that in a minute.
I know what kind of place that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
My preference would be for 3. There should be 6 other members on that. You look at 8 people, that's
No, I think that's a good point, about you got people that are raising their hand that want to get involved. I don't disagree with that. I do think if you get too many people, I agree with Clay, it's kind of hard to take into account you get too many cooks in the kitchen pretty quick on this. Do we have to determine how many people we want on this? That's part of the resolution, okay. Because my thought was maybe for the people that aren't chosen, maybe we can find something for them to be involved in to help us on this other stuff.
And then certainly can participate as the residents with any ideas that they have.
Maybe should be on the alternate. I think we're gonna have some participation.
Make two alternates.
To do alternates. Yeah, we can do that. If you want to do that. Well, that was somebody can't do it.
Somebody do some research.
So you'd like 5 members, 2 of which will be alternates. 5 members who are residents, 2 of which will be alternates. Okay,
Yes, I'll make a motion to create an ad hoc traffic committee for the town of Bartonville.
State the numbers.
Yeah, say that.
Yeah.
With a total committee of 6 and 2 alternates.
yes.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries. So the second one is discuss and consider appointing members to the ad hoc committee.
Following individuals have applied, Melissa Maston, Dwayne Stroback, Randy Van Alstine, Jim Lieber, and Stacy Smith. What were you saying?
Now that we got 2 alternates, at least all of them be involved because we've got input. But if we want, I would say the first way to do that would be, the first person to sign up is Stacy Smith, the second one, Jim Lieber, the third one, Randy Van Alstine. So put those 3 as the primary on committees, and have Wayne and Melissa Maston as
Alternates. They were the first 3 that signed up. Is that okay?
So this,
Need a motion.
do I have a motion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Did you get that, Tim?
Got it.
Got it. Okay, great. I think on boards and commissions for fiscal year 2022-23. Okay.
Getting there. Give me just one moment. All right, so we have 15 positions with terms that expire in September, including 1 vacancy on the crime control district. At the time of the writing of this, 12 of the current members completed new applications for consideration. The other members have reached out. I believe only one person is not going to reapply. So, and then we have 1 new application. The vacancy currently is on crime control, and the application from Jennifer Buck, that was her first choice to serve on crime control. So it appears that we have more positions available than there are people, and I think there'd just be 1 vacancy. Or if you want to accept any more applications, would be for the Community Development Corporation. Vicki Burford is not going to apply after her term expires in September. Other than that, we have 1 vacancy on crime control. Kevin Oldham, I believe, was reapplying. I've got to check my applications. So I can bring back prepared resolutions for you at the August meeting, reappointing those members and the new member to crime control if you so desire. and still accept applications for a vacancy on Community Development Corporation. Don't recall at the moment if he did, I reached out to them. I believe he is going to. The only one that I didn't hear back, the only one that definitely told me not was Vicky Burford. So there'd be one, yeah, one vacancy.
Yeah.
Continue to sub applications.
Okay, so I can post for that, I'll advertise for that board and then bring back the rest for you in August for appointments.
Yep.
And I'll just prepare the resolutions with those existing members and adding Jennifer to the crime control. Okay.
Thank you. Closed session pursuant to Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551, the town council will close executive session in accordance with the Texas Government Code, Government Code Section 551. Period 071, consultation with town attorney to seek legal advice on of its attorney on what making road related to line and development issues. Time being 7:54.
Before you go.
Do you want to go in the other room?
No.
Or stay?
Yeah.
We'll go in there.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So, you know, everyone.
Wow. I'll bring that. Okay, is that on?
Yeah, this is the general county's current.
Okay, I'll bring that to Ed. Okay.